This is Aaron Kazanitz, PennLive's Baltimore Ravens beat reporter. I'm here in my home in Baltimore, but Eric DeCosta and many of the Ravens scouts are out in Indianapolis this week for the scouting combine. And today, DeCosta actually talked to the media that's out there in Indy, and it's his first public comments since way back last offseason after the draft last year. So it's been almost 10 months since we've heard from DeCosta. Obviously, some big dates are coming up. Franchise tag window opens this week. The NFL draft is in late April, and you got free agency in between those. Free agency truly opens March 18th. So this was our chance to kind of hear what DeCosta had to say, hear him set the stage for these next couple weeks and all the roster movement that's coming. Now, it's important to remember as we think about what Eric DeCosta said today that he's a maneuverer. He's the kind of guy who's got to plant seeds, and he's got to maybe mislead sometimes even. He's going to say things that are public facing, and he wants to keep fans informed, but he's not necessarily telling us this is what we're doing, these are the players we like, this is our plan, because he wants to keep both with negotiations with players, negotiations with other teams, and their draft plan. He's got to keep that secret. But there are still a few things we can take from what DeCosta said out in Indy today. I think the one clear thing, at least publicly, the Ravens have not said whether or not they expect Pro Bowl right guard Marshall Yanda to return for a 14th NFL season. Yanda's a great part of their offensive line, one of the best offensive guards in the league, but he's 35 and he's kind of hinted at retirement. He said in the past he has contemplated retirement, and he would not, even though he's signed with the Ravens next year, he is not committed to returning to play. DeCosta said he has not talked to Yanda yet, and he expects to talk to him within a month. It was kind of the words DeCosta used, and that's important because if Marshall is not going to be there, the Ravens will have a big hole to fill at offensive guard. They'd be replacing the franchise's best interior offensive lineman, probably in franchise history. So that's one big thing. Certainly, the Ravens could be. They might have information, they're keeping it close to their vest, but it seems to be, at least publicly, we don't know what the deal is with Marshall Yanda. A couple other small things DeCosta said. He said he expects big jumps from Marquise Brown and Miles Boykin to receivers in their second season. Now, of course, the GM is always going to talk up his current players, but I think coupled with the fact that DeCosta also said it's a very deep draft class and you can get talent in the second or third round, what that tells me is even though the Ravens want to bolster their receiving core, they want to improve their crop of receivers around Lamar Jackson, doesn't mean they need to do it in the first round of the draft because it's such a deep class of receivers this year. There's a lot of really good receivers, and they might be available in the draft in the second or third rounds. Couple that, again, with the fact that DeCosta did say he expects jumps from the two players he drafted last year. Seems like the Ravens won't need to burn a first-round pick on a receiver. If all the things go right, they could still have a much improved crop of receivers, a much improved receiving core next season, even without going in the first round. A couple other things. DeCosta really reiterated that he wants to improve the pass rush. He told reporters off camera, so I didn't hear this part, but off camera he told them that the franchise tag's in play for Matthew Judon, the outside linebacker, but the Ravens will also consider signing him to a long-term deal. They're working on that. He said that he expects Jimmy Smith will test the free agent market. So those are the sort of things that are going on out there in Indianapolis. And then on camera, DeCosta did say that he really expects the Ravens to try and surround Lamar Jackson with good players, but also to try and be creative with how they build a defense. And it's that time of year that they're going to have to start making some of these decisions. So the big things. Looks like we don't know about Yanda yet. Looks like Jimmy Smith will at least test free agency. Looks like the Ravens are working hard on Matthew Judon to maybe get a deal done. And we'll see over the next couple weeks how these things actually play out. And today was our first chance to hear from Eric DeCosta, and those were some of my takeaways from what the man in charge said out there in Indianapolis.